Hi, I'm Miranda Cosgrove, and this is Mission Unstoppable.
Coming up, these students don't need a license to drive, just a computer. Learn how they code self-driving cars. Have you ever wanted a superpower? Find out if you could be a super taster.
Not all food tastes the same to every human.
And it's colorful, it's gummy, it's a worm.
We're gonna make some colorful little worms in this bowl.
See how algae can create edible gummies. Then, these pups may look like they're having fun, but they're on the job.
These dogs love to work and keep busy.
Learn all about the science behind medical service dogs. Get ready to meet the scientists, inventors, and heroes who help make our world a better place. The future is here. The mission, unstoppable.
Give a girl some code, and she'll be like, what are all these weird numbers? But teach a girl to code, and she'll eat for a lifetime. Or something like that. I don't actually teach coding, but you know who does? Tabitha Berger.
A good teacher knows how to break complex subjects down for their students. Things like mathematical radicals, the infinite expansion of the universe, or how static electricity can put the power of lightning in your fingertips might not make sense at first glance, but dedicated educators tailored their lessons to their students' abilities and interests. Something computer science teacher Tabitha Berger knows all too well.
To me, the best part of my day is working with the students and seeing when that light bulb clicks. And it's like, oh, Ms. Berger, look what I can do.
Keeping her high school students inspired means searching for new, innovative lesson plans, which Tabitha does on the Pathfinders Online Institute. From our sponsor, Infosys Foundation USA, where she can network with other educators and even create coding projects that find computer science solutions to today's real-world problems.
Like if we give students these opportunities to take problems in the community or in the world and just ask them their solutions, they will truly blow your minds.
So I headed to the Floyd County School of Innovation to see what solutions Tabitha's students are dreaming up. Like using drones to fly medical supplies into the vast wilds of Kentucky for injured ATV riders.
If they go out on a trail and they get hurt or injured, and it takes us a while to get to them, our students looked at how could we design a carrier to fit on the drone so that we can get some emergency supplies to them quickly.
Another of her classroom's real-world applications? Considering the social implications in the artificial intelligence behind self-driving cars.
They do an activity where they have to decide if the brakes were to fail in this driverless car, does it hit a barrier or does it hit pedestrians? And that's a really eye-opening activity for them. It gets them thinking more along the lines of, so how could I prevent that?
The answer, of course, is with coding. But before they can give the car a complex choice, they have to get it moving.
They would get a block of code, and I said, go from this point A to that point B.
Okay.
And they would just map out, well, I've got to drive forward this many feet, get out some measurement tools, and then they would do some math.
Once the wheels are turning, students can program the car to react to what it sees in its path. How does a self-driving car see? With sensors. Real self-driving cars are covered in cameras and sensors, like radar and ultrasonic detectors, gathering data about the car's speed, traffic lights, lane lines, and any obstacles or pedestrians nearby. This demo car only has one sensor, a camera.
And what they'll do is code it to see specific colors. So they'll go in and they'll put these underneath it and they'll say, this is red, this is blue, this is green. And then when they go back to their code, they can tell it a conditional statement. So if an object exists and that object is red, these are the things you need to do. If it's blue, do this. Once they've learned how to code it, the next thing that they start talking about is how is this beneficial to the community? How is it giving back? So we always talk about how we want technology to be a help and not to just take somebody's job.
As an engineer and a coder myself, I think it's really cool to see that students at younger and younger ages are starting to learn how to code.
This opens up the possibilities for students to see how they can take a real-world problem and they can make those solutions.
Well, your students are lucky to have you.
Thank you.
And Tabitha feels just as lucky. not only to continue her own education, but to be a part of a network inspiring the problem solvers of tomorrow.
How about I tee us up for the next segment? That's a little pun. You'll figure it out in like 2 seconds once it starts. Food, glorious food.
Food delivers nutrients to keep our organs, muscles, and even our brains functioning. Without it, we couldn't breathe, or blink, or move, like this. Do people still do that? But the best part about food is that it also tastes good. Well, most of it does. No offense to pickled eggs, but I'll pass. Now that I might be making you hungry, I hope you're also thirsty for knowledge, because I'm here to spill the STEM tea. So how does taste work? And who are the super tasters that experience food differently than the rest of us? Mammals, like you, me, and your dog, taste food using taste buds, which are made by teeny tiny cells called taste receptors. When we eat, these cells bind onto the small molecules in our food related to flavor. And the flavors that these cells can detect are sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and umami. But did you know that not all food tastes the same to every human? About 25% of us have up to 4 times more taste buds, and thus more taste receptors, than the average person. These, my friends, are called super tasters. And it's kind of like being a superhero. But instead of flying, you really get to enjoy dessert. At Yale University in the 1990s, a psychologist named Dr. Linda Bartoshuk pioneered the study of genetic variation in taste. Through her study, Dr. Bartoshuk discovered that many people were incredibly sensitive to flavor, specifically bitter flavor. And she named those people, say it with me, super tasters. She also found that 50% of the human population are just plain tasters, and the other 25% are non-tasters. But don't be fooled by the term non-taster. It doesn't mean they can't taste at all. It just means they taste foods less intensely, which might sound bad, but think of all the spicy food that non-tasters can eat to impress their friends. But we shouldn't let these differences divide us. All tasters are beautiful, and we're in this together. So, you think you might be a super taster? Let's find out. Here are some foods that you might find bitter: broccoli, grapefruit, and chocolate. I'm gonna try the chocolate. I'll do anything in the name of science. So it's not bitter. I guess I'm not a super taster. But maybe I have the power of invisibility. Did it work? We tried to book a real worm for this next segment, but once again, the early bird got it. Probably should have seen that coming. But we do have the next best thing: alginate worms. Jackie Means, the STEM queen, is gonna teach us how they're made.
Science has created computers, taken us to the moon, and helps us peer into the microscopic world of atoms and molecules. But today, it's helping us make some little worm guys using polymers. I'm Jackie Means, the STEM queen, and today we're gonna make some colorful little worms in this bowl. For this experiment, we're going to use some distilled water, a bowl, some calcium chloride powder, sodium alginate powder, food dye, and some squeeze bottles. Sodium alginate and calcium chloride are both safe to eat, but if you use food dye, you might want to put on some gloves or put a drop cloth down. Sodium alginate can be used as a thickening agent, a gelling agent, and an emulsifier in tons of foods like cheese, instant noodles, and even ice cream. It's also used in pharmaceuticals and medicines. It's actually made from brown algae, so shout out to brown algae for helping us out today. I bet you didn't know that there's brown algae in your cheese. I think that makes cheese a seafood? Maybe? Sodium alginate also forms polymers. We'll get into why that's important in just a second. So first up, we're going to make our calcium chloride solution. I'm going to take my distilled water, add it to our bowl. Now I'm going to take my calcium chloride beads and take 3/4 teaspoon and add it to my bowl. Now I'm going to take my spoon and just mix it all together. And once you don't see any more beads, it's done. I'm going to take my sodium alginate solution that I made earlier by using distilled water, sodium alginate powder, and a little bit of food dye. The sodium alginate mixture will form mold if you leave it out, so make sure you put it in the refrigerator if you're not going to use it right away. And all I have to do is mix them together and we'll have a sodium alginate worm. Check that out. Oh, it's so long. I love these little worms. They're so fun. They feel so gooey. You can make sodium alginate worms in a bunch of different colors. Literally any color you want. Worms. Green. Slimy, slimy goodness. So what is a polymer? A polymer is just a linked up chain of tiny, tiny molecules all grouped together. So the reason why we don't get this cool worm just by squeezing our sodium alginate mixture out of the bottle is because it's just sodium alginate floating around in water. But when you add it to a calcium chloride mixture, the calcium chloride causes the sodium alginate molecules to link up and form long chains. This chain forms a gel, similar to gelatin, which is what gives these worms their cool texture. The polymers in these worms are technically edible, but I just had lunch, so I'm not gonna eat them. Polymers are incredibly important. Polymers from crude oil are used in things like our plastics and our synthetic rubber, and also our clothing in things like polyester and vinyl. Natural polymers exist as well in things like silk and wool, and even your DNA is a polymer. Are polymers? This is a science show, not a grammar show. Do you think that brown algae ever thought it would be on TV? Just goes to show, you can do anything as long as you try. I'm Jackie Means, the STEM Queen, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Dogs can be trained to sit, stay, roll over, and sometimes to alert medical authorities. But how exactly do you train a pet to become a first responder? We sent Nabil to find out.
Doggos, canines, puppers. We have tons of names for our furry little friends. But how about heroes? Today, I'm meeting with some real-life dog heroes who change people's lives every single day. And I get to hang out with an expert who trains them.
Her name is Christina Billy, and she leads a team of trainers here at Canine Partners for Life.
When I was in college, I joined a club that raised future service dogs. My dad was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, so I became very interested in how these dogs assist individuals with disabilities like his. While I was volunteer puppy raising, I was able to meet some of the recipients and their service dogs, and I really got to see the huge impact that these dogs were making in their lives.
Today, Christina is going to show me how she trains dogs to help patients with mobility issues, cardiac conditions, diabetes, and even narcolepsy. This intense instruction starts right after birth and involves community puppy homes and even socialization at a prison puppy raising program. After 14 months of training, the young dogs head back to Canine Partners for Life to learn advanced skills.
Hold. Yes, good boy.
Right now, I'm meeting a graduate of this program, Laurel, a cardiac alert service dog, here with her owner, Taylor.
So what exactly is a cardiac alert service dog?
Laurel actually can alert to my cardiac issues. Her cardiac alerts can prevent me from passing out, but they also allow me to conserve my energy and not get nearly as many symptoms as I would if those episodes occurred. But because of her, I sit down, I lay down, I rest, and I'm able to go about my day.
How do you even begin to train a dog to do that?
Our medical alert dogs, they get tested with volunteers who have these conditions, and over the course of a few days, they can take a look at their behavior changes and see if they correlate with an episode that they have. All of our dogs are trained using a rewards-based training program. So say we're teaching a skill such as turning on and off a light. We may reward them for something as small as looking in the general vicinity of it or moving towards it. But eventually we will increase our criteria and we will withhold rewards until they offer us something more and something closer towards that desired goal. We do a lot of field trips with our dogs so they can generalize and do these skills in real life situations.
So how do dogs sense or smell a medical emergency before it's about to happen?
We have odorous chemical compounds that are present in our breath and in our secretions when we sweat. And the changes in those chemical compounds can tell a lot about what's going on inside somebody's body. We know that dogs have about 300 million scent receptors compared to only 5 million in humans.
Wow.
12% of their brain is dedicated to the interpretation of scent, 40 times more than the human brain. Our dogs are very sensitive to these changes. They can detect it at lower thresholds than some medical devices can. They have an innate ability to detect these changes and to understand that there is something abnormal about it and they need to let somebody know. And for some cases, it can be up to 45 minutes beforehand, ample time to get somewhere safe so that they can take the necessary action to avoid something that could be potentially life-threatening. It's like the check engine light on your car.
That's a really good way of putting it.
And it also plays along with their instinct. These dogs love to work and keep busy, so to give them a job is super fun and exciting for them. They are with their recipients 24/7.
Here in the service barn, service dogs learn advanced skills to help their humans, like opening drawers.
Tuck. Push, push, good girl. Pretty incredible.
That's unbelievable.
They can actually take laundry out of the dryer and put it into the basket. They can tug the basket down the hallway.
Wow, I mean, these are really complex tasks too.
Our dogs can actually turn on the lights when they enter a room. Can tug open the refrigerator and grab water and juice. Hold. Yeah. Push. Good girl.
Wow, Laurel is a very, very special dog. It's cool that she's able to help with medical emergencies and also just daily life stuff. I can understand now how helpful it must be having her around.
I can't imagine my life without her now. I'm just so grateful for Canine Partners for Life, all the volunteers, the staff, all the wonderful trainers. I mean, they've given me my life back.
Well, thank you for letting me into your world. I had so much fun and I got to meet some real cool dog heroes.
We are happy to have you. Thank you for coming.
And now it's time for, oh wait, let me animate myself. Science Minute with Miranda Cosgrove. That's me.
Did you know Saturn didn't always have rings? It's true. 150 million years ago, if a stegosaurus had pointed a telescope into the night sky, she would have seen a solar system full of planets that look pretty much like they do now, except for one. Saturn would have been missing its distinctive accessories. And that's because Saturn only got its rings about 50 million years later, likely when one of Saturn's moons was pulled off course by the gravitational tugging of a bigger lunar sibling. As a result, it came a little too close to Saturn, whose own gravitational pull was so strong that it ripped the moon apart and shredded it into fine dust. Most of the moon debris probably hit the planet, but the bits that stayed in orbit eventually flattened out into a thin disk, giving Saturn that blinged out look. Way to turn an accident into a signature style, Saturn. Welcome back. Before we go, we have one last thing.
Just keep learning and investigating your interests, and eventually you'll find a career that you're passionate about and that you love and enjoy doing every single day.
Don't be afraid to take that risk. Take risks, and you may just find your passion. Design your own future. And computer science gives you the skills and the abilities to do that. But I also want to say that to teachers, don't be afraid to take those risks in your classroom. I did that. But when you take the boundaries off and you step outside the box, you can see your kids achieve amazing things and design amazing things.
And that's it for Mission Unstoppable. Maybe next week we'll do a thing on almonds. They may seem normal, but when you look into their biology, they're really nuts. Bye. If you're watching this, you must have really liked the video. Make sure you follow and subscribe, and check out these other videos that are even better. No, really. I've seen this one over 100 times.